Welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. You guys, I hope that you had your coffee, your tea, your water, your green things, your smoothness, whatever the heck it is that is your thing for energy, because we have high energy. And the funny thing is, usually it's me that's going off the walls. This is Kristen. And Mary Fran's like, whoa. Well, when Mary Fran found out that our guest today is a Disney performer, she literally lost her mind.
I lost my mind.
She almost flipped back off of her chair.
Favorite place in the world. If I could snap my fingers at any moment in time and be somewhere, that's where I would be.
Listen, me too right now. And 4 months ago, I would not have said that. But now I'm like, just give me some Dole Whip and a parade and I'll be fine.
Those parades, let me just tell you, in the live shows, I'll never forget.
Wait. We have to tell everybody who our guest is.
Oh.
We're jumping right in. We haven't even introduced
her. We're just so excited.
Our new best friend. Everybody should meet her. Kate Garnes. Nice to meet you.
Everybody. Hi.
Let's get back to it.
Okay, Disney World.
Okay, it's going to be brilliant today. But wait, the first time I was there with the kids and I watch and like, you know, the princess rises up and they sing that whole, when you wish upon a star, and she's rising and the dreams all come true and I'm sobbing. And
so you're talking about the show Dream Along with Mickey that was on the castle stage? I did that show.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I was sobbing.
I have cried more times at Disney, but tears of just joy. Like I just stand there and I cry. The tears just run down my face and people are looking at me. But it was so funny. One time, a number of years ago, I went with my kids. And of course, I was standing there sobbing during fireworks or something like that. And my kids are looking at me like I'm a wackadoodle. And some mom, and I wish I had hugged her at the time. Some mom looks at my kids and goes, someday you'll understand.
Oh, did that just make you cry harder?
Oh my God. I was like, oh, thank you.
Inconsolable tears at that point. Yes, absolutely.
I swear
before we go totally down the Disney rabbit hole, because I could just stay there all day long.
We just started and we're already down a rabbit hole.
We're off and running. So we try to have some structure to this, which very rarely works, but we talk about reset, rise, and reveal. And I want to hear about who you are. Like I know you're a Disney performer, like I said, off on the rabbit hole, but you do plenty of other stuff that really relates to what we talk about. And I want to get into that. And then definitely going back to the Disney stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, I love that reset, rise, reveal. I love that because if my life had to be described in those 3 words, that makes perfect sense. I was born and raised in Missouri, went to college in Kansas, and I grew up performing. I grew up doing musical theater, competitive show choir, got to college and didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I started a degree in music education, and then I can remember being in front of a choir towards the end of my degree, and I was like, I hate this. Oh, this is just awful. I do not want to do this at all. And I had a moment.
Great conclusion after 4 years.
Oh,
right?
Sis, listen. Like I think I kept pursuing it because I love music. I love teenagers. I love motivating. I love teaching. I did not want to be a music teacher or a teacher, period.
So your reset involves oops.
Yeah. So I took some time, and I mean, I had 1 more year of school left and I was so miserable. And one night I just said, hey God, this sucks. This is not what I want to do. I am lost.
That's how we talk to God.
Yeah, listen, the Lord and I have had some serious come to Jesus's, no pun intended. And so, I threw a random girl who I didn't even like her. She wasn't even nice, but she told me about the Disney College program. And that was in September of 2009. Nope, 2010. And I Googled it, found out all this stuff about performing. And I said, well, I think I'm going to take just a semester off. And I'm going to finish school. That's non-negotiable, but I need to take a semester off if I make it. That was September. October, I auditioned. November, I found out I made it. January, I moved to Orlando. So took a semester off. That turned into a year. Worked as a performer for Disney and Universal Studios Orlando. And then was like, okay, I've got to finish school, blah, blah, blah. Went back, finished, came back, was full-time with Disney. And then once again, I felt that little tug of, this isn't what I'm meant to do forever. This isn't what I'm meant to do forever. I got out of a roughly 4-year relationship. At this point, I was 28, single, no kids, not married. And all of my friends have like, they don't only have like babies, they have like tiny humans that you can actually have a conversation with. Like, it's not even just like babies anymore. They're like tiny humans that you have to actively not curse around because they'll repeat you. So, and I sat there and I said, well, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? Because of course that's the first thing we do, right? Is, well, something must be wrong with me. Everyone else has it figured out. So I went to
Kristen and I are both scribbling right now because we're coming back to this.
I'm like, I love her more and more every second.
Yeah. And so I went to my 10-year high school reunion, again, 28, single, just out of a very long relationship. And a girlfriend walked up to me because I was bummed at my reunion. Sis, I was the only one not married. And like, when you're from Missouri, that's what you do. You go to high school, you go to college, you get married, you have 2 babies, and then you have a white picket fence, and you either become a teacher or a nurse. That's it. That's all you do. And a girl walked up and she could tell that I was bummed. And she said, well, Kate, what do you want your life to look like? And in that moment, this is my reset. This was my reset button. What I call God, some people call the universe, I call God, said, here you go. And I said, I want to be a motivational speaker. I'd never said it out loud before. Wow. And you know, sometimes when you get in your car and the windows are real foggy and you turn on the defog and it goes, and it's like pinpoint crystal clear. That is what happened in my head as soon as I said those words. I mean, instantaneous. Oh my God, this is what I meant to do. So I got on a plane to come back to Orlando. This was in 2016. And I wrote a letter. And in that letter, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm writing this to you because you have achieved what I view as success. I don't know what I'm doing. If someone said, hey, you have to name 3 motivational speakers right now, or you just die, I would have just died because I didn't even know what I didn't know. But I threw myself into it because I was so convicted that this is what I'm meant to do. And 4 years later, I am a full-time teen motivational speaker.
Wow.
Wow.
That's my story.
Who'd you write the
That's
letter to?
incredible.
I wrote the letter and I sent it to 8 different people. A couple people who work for Disney who have just found incredible success. A couple friends who are on Broadway. They were the only ones who did not respond. And a couple just mentors I've had throughout my life. Mostly
I love
in entertainment.
your letter went to someone, because I'm over the write the letter to yourself and then open it in 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know anything. That's why I don't want to talk to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been
a letter from me. I get a letter from me all day long.
This journey has been super humbling because I was a music that I don't know anything about business. Are you kidding me? People were like, you have to have a P&L and all of this overhead. And I'm like, I need to have a pastrami and lettuce sandwich. Like, I don't know. So I asked, I mean, people got annoyed because I would just ask questions and questions and questions and questions. And yeah, so it's been a journey. It's been a ride.
Hey, asking the question is the greatest thing. I built a global nonprofit by being at the biggest conferences and asking the dumbest question. I would go to the microphone and like, what is the dumbest question someone could ask? Because I knew the whole room wanted to know. And then I would say my name and what I was representing. And then boom, all these people afterwards would come up. That's how I built my network. Dumb questions.
Yep. I went to my first business conference ever was last November. I did I don't know if you guys know Rachel Hollis or not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Her Rise Business Conference. I went by myself. I was so nervous. At one point I was like, I don't have to get on this plane. Like, this plane can go and I can stay home. But what I loved is that one day when they were talking about business, they were like, this is what profit means. This is what overhead means. This is what gross income means. Because I've literally never taken a business class in my life. I can tell you all about Mozart, not that I want to, but I can't talk to you about business. So I have been 100% self-talk.
So I think that what is happening here is the universe has brought the three of us together, and at some point we're going to be at the Rise conference on the stage. Because on the stage, yes, because that keeps coming back into my universe, that Rise conference, and I just listened to who you're reminding me of. I'm obsessed with Amy Porterfield right now because we're learning about online stuff because of we can't go anywhere, right?
Praise.
Do you know that when she spoke at the Rise conference last year, it was because they had become friends, her and Rachel's like, you have to come on my stage. And Amy's like, I'm going to talk about business, right? She's like, no, your struggle with weight loss and what happened. She's like, and it was the most vulnerable. And she said yes, and her life took off. But I just listened to that walking my crazy dogs this morning in the rain. And now here we all are. So there it is, universe. Bring it, because God knows he doesn't want the three of us at him at once.
I love it.
Got to give these three something to do, to tell them to just stop looking at me for a while.
And we're about to talk about the rise in your journey, right? So we talk about that. So that's where we're going to be. Wow, that is good stuff. And my son Michael is looking at, he's a sophomore at Penn State. He's looking at that Disney program, and he has a friend there now.
Yeah, if he has any questions or anything at all, have him contact me. I'm happy to answer anything.
And I can networking on our show.
I can get him in touch with people who can answer all of his questions and be really honest. People who will be really honest about him or to him about what it's really like to be on the college program.
So here's what I love the most about, and there's so much to love about you and your work, but when you sent us a couple of statements about what you do, you said, I help teens stop making excuses and take their lives back. Kate, move into my home. You are like totally in my head and my heart. That's the whole resilience. That's the figure it out. That's the message that's the only thing, not only thing, that's one of the biggest blessings of this pandemic, is that these teens are having something that they have to figure out that people can't figure out for them. So tell us more about that work that you do.
Yeah. So when I started speaking, people would ask, well, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, everything. And they were like, who do you want to talk to? Everybody. And they were like, well, that's not smart, but okay. And as I dug deeper, I realized I just freaking love teenagers. I think teens have it really, really hard. Especially in this day and age. I'm 32, and I didn't have social media when I was in high school. Thank God.
Right.
I didn't have a camera in my back pocket. Thank God. But like, they are being just shown they're being hit all day, every day with, this is what you're supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to vote. This is what you're supposed to believe. And all this stuff. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And if you have your own opinion, then you're wrong. And so anyway, I just found, and it was funny because as soon as I figured that out, I realized that everything in my life has been lined up to get me ready for that.
Wow.
So the big piece of my talk is, it basically boils down to self-talk. How are you speaking to yourself? Because if you're speaking trash to yourself, you're going to speak trash to others. If you're speaking joy and light to yourself, you're going to speak joy and light to others. And so let's say one person makes one comment to you one time. Someone calls you fat. Someone says you're ugly. Someone says you walk funny. Someone says you are stupid. Someone makes fun of the way that you dress. Someone makes fun of your parents. XYZ here. Mine, I had a dad who was an alcoholic. My parents were divorced, and he made a couple offhanded comments about me not being a very good performer or singer. Wow. And from hearing that, I stopped believing in myself as a singer or performer. I had one dance teacher who made one comment, one time, under her breath, she didn't know I could hear her, said, some people just aren't good enough for this class, right after she watched me dance.
Wow.
And that became my recording. That became my truth. Of course I believe them. This is my dad. This is my teacher. This is my best friend. This is of course I believe them. Of course they know better than I do. And so I speak to teens about how to take those recordings back, because we don't a lot of times we automatically think that everyone knows better than us. Everyone has it all figured out. Someone else figured out the potion that solved all their problems, because on social media, people only show their highlight reel.
Yeah.
And we compare our bloopers to people's highlight reel. So my big talk is about helping teens, and not just teens, adults as well, helping teens see that recording is a lie. And it's okay to stop listening to it, and it's okay to stop believing it. I'm known as the gladiator speaker because when I was at my lowest of low, I had been just knocked down terribly. And so what do you do when you get that low? You binge watch Netflix and eat a lot of tacos. And so while I was binge watching Netflix and eating my weight in tacos, I started watching a show called Scandal. And in the very first episode, Kerry Washington, in all of her goddess glory, steps forward and says, "We are gladiators in suits." And that, like, do you ever like hear song lyrics or a movie quote and you literally like want to go, stop everything, play it again, because it resonates with like your gut and your soul.
Oh girl, I sing it at the top of my lungs running up the hill in my park. The people that run near me are so sick. I'm like, I belt it.
Yes.
It just makes you like on fire. Yeah.
So I got out of bed and I went in my bathroom and I grabbed a dry erase marker and I wrote on my mirror, "I am a gladiator." And at this point I had pushed away a lot of my friends. I had pushed away a lot of my family. Because I believed the lies that this ex-boyfriend had told me. I believed that I was worthless. I believed I didn't have a purpose. I believed him. Of course I did, because we always do.
Yeah.
And that became what I call my battle cry. Because as I walk through life, that is what I sound in my head every day. I am a gladiator. Kate, you're stupid. No, I'm a gladiator. Kate, you're ugly. No, I'm a gladiator. Kate, why is anyone going to want to listen to you or anything you have to say? Because I'm a gladiator. It became my battle cry. So I help teens find their battle cry and take those lies back and speak their own truth.
That is so, I'm listening to you and I'm like, it's not even just teens, because I needed to know you 3 years ago when my divorce started and my hair fell out and I believed all that stuff and it's funny you say that about you pushed everybody away. I did the same thing. And then everybody coming back into my life. I mean, my life, well, you can only see this one wall because this house, forget about it. It's a and I don't even care. There are so many parts of it that are a mess, but there's so much greatness that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But I didn't see that before and Mary Fran's constantly telling me, get that person's voice out of your head. It's hard. She's the self-talk lady also.
Yeah. It's hard because go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's a saying, and I think this is a guy my husband listens to. He passed away not too long ago, but his name was Wayne Dyer, and I know my husband got it from him, and it was something like, "Don't walk around in my head with your muddy feet."
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's hard is we hear that other person's, like I heard my teacher's voice or my dad's voice, but suddenly it turns into your voice.
Yes.
And like
oh my gosh, that's so true.
It turns into your voice and you hear it's you saying it. And one thing I talk about is how you should be so picky about your friends. Be kind to everyone. Be loving to everyone.
Yes.
Your tribe or what I call your army needs to be very small. And those are the people whose opinions matter, because we tend to be surrounded by what I call just kidding friends. And they're the ones who say things like, "Girl, are you going to eat all of that? You fat pig. I'm just kidding."
Oh, no.
Right? You know, the ones, we all have them. And we tend to be like, okay. Those aren't your friends. Those aren't your friends.
No.
And we listen to them and we believe them because they're supposed to be our best friends. So then they make that offhanded comment and you're like, oh, maybe they're calling me fat. I'm not going to eat anything anymore. Or that just becomes, you hear their voice, but it turns into yours. And so that's the cycle that I'm trying to help people break.
I love it. I have a 15, almost 16-year-old daughter, and we've been down that road. And she's an incredibly talented and gifted and confident kid. But I've watched sometimes with certain kids how she starts to, and I'm like, wait a minute, but it's also one of the other blessings of them all not being together in the school right now, that she can have her time to, I mean, can you imagine at almost 16, she has time to take a breath and not have all of that in her head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think sometimes, you know, at that age obviously is so vulnerable because all these kids are still trying to figure out who they are. And unfortunately, and you kind of don't want to blame them too much because they get that from somewhere else, that they get those passive aggressive comments that they make. Maybe it's been done to them. But sometimes these kids feel like in order to rise up, they have to step on the back of somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's it's that age when that happens because they really don't have the skills yet to rise on their own. So you're equipping them with those, and that is huge.
Yeah, it's a big thing I've had to learn as a speaker, that there's enough pie for everyone. The only thing that I love more than being successful is helping my friends be successful.
Yeah.
So there is a seat for you at my table. You don't have to step on people to sit at my table with me. It doesn't matter if, you know, every day I write things that I'm grateful for and my goals and my dreams in my life. And one of them is like, be a multimillionaire. One of them is give away 10% of my income to charity or whatever. But when I look at it, I don't need to tear other people down. If there's a job where I'm going to have to tear someone down to get it, that isn't a job I want.
Right.
So,
right.
But that's taken some learning.
But that's that idea you were just saying, though. I think we live in a scarcity society where everybody thinks there's only a little piece of this, so you better get yours.
Yeah.
You know, and that idea that you're teaching teens, it doesn't have to be like that.
I like to focus whenever I get to work with other performing groups, because that is how it is in the entertainment world. The entertainment world, as much as I love performing, is a dark profession. It's hard, and you have to have really thick skin, and you have to know who you are, what your morals are, and what you will and won't compromise, because you will be pushed on all three of those things. And in that, I mean, I'm auditioning against my friends, and if you get it, I don't get it. So that has been, I mean, I love working for Disney. I love my job. I love the magic I get to make, but there is a dark underside to any performing, not just at Disney, but any professional performing. That's partly why I needed to get out, and praise God that that's when he decided to show me speaking.
So is there a part of your lessons to teens that says, some days you're going to be disappointed. And, you know, like maybe you won't be the pinnacle of whatever. Like, you know, I always say when I speak to groups of people, I say, remember how your mother said you can be anything you want? Well, she lied to make you feel good. Because you can't. Like, I can't be a professional basketball player. I mean, there are just certain things. So are there hard lessons, I guess is what I'm saying to you. Obviously, you want to build these kids up. But are there hard truths that you tell them too? Like, hey, sometimes you're just going to have to accept it.
Yeah. I talk a lot about, at one point I say, I wish that I could tell you that as soon as you walk across that stage, you shake your principal's hand and you move on. All you had to do was get through high school. That's it. After that, there's no bullying, there's no racism, there's no name calling. Everyone's on your side. Everyone is in your circle and in your corner, which are two very different things. But that's not the case. And I tell a story about how working at Disney, I was always bullied for being short, because I'm 5'1". I was always bullied for being short. I was never bullied for being thin until I got to Disney. And then it was, Kate, can you just eat a cheeseburger and make me feel better about myself? Well, no, it's not my job to make you feel beautiful. It's your job to know you already are. It's not my job to lower my standards because you're too afraid to raise yours. So I talk a lot about how it's going to be hard. And here's the deal. When you start to sound your battle cry and you start speaking light here, you're going to speak light here. And those just kidding friends I talked about, they're going to rise up to try to silence you. And when that doesn't work, because you won't let it, they're going to leave and you will find yourself alone. And it will be hard and it will be lonely. And you will look at those people and you'll say, man, that looks so, I know how to do that. That's inviting. I want to go back to that, but you're not going to, because you've already stepped into your gladiatorness. And as you keep speaking truth and you keep speaking light and you keep speaking kindness to yourself, you will attract other people who are speaking kindness, who are speaking truth. And you may not, your life may not go the way you think it will. Actually, I can almost guarantee your life is not going to go. No, listen, I remember if you had told me when I was 18 that I would be 32 and not married and have no babies and don't have a dog, I would have died. I would have just stopped living because that's what I thought my life was going to be. Praise God.
I hear that.
Praise God it didn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm so grateful for the path that I'm walking now, but life may not go, and that's okay. It may be something better for you.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? That was one of my biggest things in my divorce. It was the greatest thing that needed to happen in my life, right? But I was like, oh, I would see 50th wedding anniversaries on Facebook and sob. Why would I want to spend another 5 years with that, right? But it was that goofy vision. And even then into dating after divorce, I wanted to jump right to the finish line. I have a problem with that. I just want to start and finish and then go and then finish, check the box. And I had to let go of that after several meltdowns. And when I'm in the pit and you think you can't go any lower, I can dig like nobody's business. I can go so far in a pit.
Yep.
Even with ladders in there to get me out. No, please allow me to dig in the mud a little longer.
We've had to throw ropes, ladders, like just to pull her up. It's been tough.
And I just had to get those images out of my mind and be okay with, I'm not exactly certain where this is going, but boy, is it going to be a good ride. And it's interesting now as people try, we just had a situation the other day. Someone is still trying to knock me out. And I'm like, you know what? That now at 48 and a half, almost 49, I've learned to finally say, oh, that means that I'm really doing well. That means we're on the right path here because it's making you nuts over there.
Yep.
And we talk about a lot. We talk about how and this sounds to me like the center of what you do. We talk a lot about how when you identify, your values, when you identify that foundation and that becomes your core and release the outcomes, because that's another big thing we say, you can make all the plans you want, but you got to release the outcomes because of exactly what you just said. Something better might be around the corner. So what it sounds like you're doing is grounding them to then go out and figure it out.
You have to, and Lord Almighty, if I have learned this in the last 5 years, at the end of the day, you answer to yourself. At the end of the day, no one's going to show up to save you. No one's going to show up to fight for you if you don't find yourself worth fighting for. If you don't find yourself worthy of love, no one else is going to. At the end of the day, you have to take care of your own. And I'm not saying leave everyone out. No one else is welcome. It's not that, but if you don't find yourself worthy of love and light and kindness and forgiveness and joy, no one can do that for you. And it may seem like it at first, but there's always going to be this, then you get into super codependent relationships and that's like a whole other box of words. But
and you hear that other voice again. You said, if you don't feel it, anything that anybody else offers to you, you find a way to negate.
Yeah.
Well, they just feel sorry for me. I'm not really blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you're totally right. You have to build that foundation first.
And a level of happiness, being content with who you are, being content. And this is not easy stuff to tackle. I still struggle with this. Yeah. Lord, my mom, this is actually something I was just praying about last night. My mom had me when she was 35. And I'm an only child. I am not married. I'm 32. So there's a part of me that's like, my biological clock is ticking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to get it all figured out. I have to have it figured out. And that is when you have to let go. And I have to say, you know what? I am content with who I am right now. I am okay. I love this business I've created. I love that I get to help people. And right in this moment, I am okay and I am satisfied. And because it's so easy to let your brain spin and go places. And
I Oh yeah, that's the Kristen Smedley Wild Ride right there. That's what mine does. I've got every Disney roller coaster right up in
She's got
here.
a Disney park in her head all the
Oh, yeah.
time. Zoom,
Oh,
zoom,
yeah.
she's always on a ride.
Kristen Smedley's Wild Ride. Get on board.
Get on board. I love it.
All right, so before I hate to say we have to wind up soon.
I know, I can't believe it.
I know, could have this conversation all day long. Where do people find you? Give us some ways that people can get in touch with you, because they need to hear more of your stuff.
Yeah. So on all social media platforms, I am at Kate Garnes Live, KateGarnesLive. And I also, you can visit my website, www.kategarnes.com. There you can sign up for a newsletter. I haven't sent out any newsletters yet, but I'm thinking about sending out an email just being like, hey, everybody, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Because I think we need to hear that. And also,
that's all it needs to say.
I know. Everything's fine. It's going to be great. I also wrote a book. Let me grab it really quick. It's right here.
So great.
Oh, I love that title.
That is essentially exactly what we were talking about. It's called Mixtape: How to Stop Listening to the Recordings of Your Past. You can get it on Amazon, or I am running a special right now that if you send me a message, I will send you an autographed copy. It's $15. But every chapter in it is a different recording that I've had in my life. So I'm not worth showing up for. I need you to like me. I have to fit in. I don't need help. I have nothing left to give. So each chapter is a different recording I've had and how I worked through that. And
I think that book should be required reading in every high school in America. Right? No, I'm not kidding.
No, it's the truth. And Mary, I was just sitting here thinking, like, we should do some kind of maybe on one of our What's Up Wednesdays, we should do a giveaway of both of your books, because Mary Fran has the self-talk book also for the older crowd. Us, women that have, it's like so similar though. I would love to see the chapters and the different things that overlap. Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. Wow.
So that's where.
Too. That's my kind of thing. The mixtape, the old mixtape.
Yep. And people were like, because on the cover, I know if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see the book, but on the cover, it has a cassette tape with AirPods, and people were like, you can't listen to a cassette tape with AirPods. And I was like, yo, that's because the recordings tend to be a little bit older, but we're listening to them today. It's kind of a metaphor. It's fine. Just read them.
That's so great.
Some people are just never gonna get it.
Listen, get out of here, Karen. I can't with you.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. And I know that, we'll talk again, because I just feel like there's so much synergy in the stuff that we do. And we also will have to start making our plan for when we're on Rachel Hollis's stage together.
Or we make our own stage.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or we make our own stage.
I'm kind of feeling that.
Yeah.
Right? Tracks for adults, tracks for kids. I'm kind of feeling that.
Yeah.
And I'm coming back to Disney World as soon as it opens, and I might stay with you. I'm just saying.
I'm here for it. I've got a place for you, sis. I'm here for it.
Well, thank you so much
welcome.
for joining us, Kate. This has just been such a delight, and I can't wait to tell my buddy Jason that you and I know each other now. I'm texting him as soon as we get off the phone.
I love it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live, and we will see you on the next one, which will be tomorrow, because this is daily for until further notice. So, thanks for tuning in. See ya.